This portion of KSDJ 90.7's broadcast is brought to you by locally owned Brookings PowerQuest. Located in the University Mall at 820 22nd Avenue South, you can find everything your ride needs. From essential auto parts to top-notch accessories and customer service, PowerQuest is a one-stop shop for Brookings. Their phone number is 692-6298. PowerQuest is a proud sponsor of SDSU Student Radio, KSDJ 90.7.
Hey, Jackrabbit fans, welcome back into First Bank and Trust Arena. I'm Ben Anderson with Collegiate Sports. It's the Jackrabbit Spring Invitational Tournament here in First Bank and Trust Arena for volleyball. The Jacks get started off early with a quick point here against the St. Cloud Huskies. The Jackrabbits, a squad that has dominated the Summit League for the past two seasons, went undefeated in the conference. And now getting a look at what this fresh team looks like as Madison Burr gets a block up front into the back row for Sylvie Scotts. Back set from Martin into Patricia Labuca, one of the new transfer players in here for the Jackrabbits. And St. Cloud State going to go with the tip over there. Riley Martin to Jocelyn Richardson. Labuca gets it back into the middle row here for St. Cloud State. And a spike comes in across the middle, and the Huskies on the board 1-1. We're playing by time here today in the tournament, so each match is going to take about an hour with some timeouts in the middle here. St. Cloud State with the service into the back row here. A spike across from Hannah Marie Klein, heads out of bounds. No, they're going to say touched by the Huskies before it heads out, and then it'll be 2-1 with the Jackrabbits ahead in the first set. Back behind the line to serve now is Hannah Klein. Klein in the back row of the Huskies, going to send a return on the right side of the net. Block up front there by Madison Burr and Sylvie Scotts on that far side of the net for the Jackrabbit kill. It's 3-1. The Jacks up by 2 against the Huskies in this scrimmage match. Here, the first one of the day in First Bank and Trust. A couple more coming today. Marie Klein with the service, hits the top of the net, and goes over for a service ace there for Hannah Klein. It's 4-1. The Jackrabbits up by 3 now against the Huskies. Huskies on the return from Klein's service into the back row. Klein digs it up. Set up from Martin over to Scotts. Scotts with the tip over. Huskies all over it. They're going to go back to the right side. Right side spike into the open side of the corner for the kill there for the Huskies. It's 4-2. Jackrabbits up by 2. It's still set number 1. St. Cloud State going to be here with the return. They go into the back row, picked up by Hannah Klein. Over the middle, it's Madison Burr. Burr with a spike across for the kill. It'll be 5-2. The Jackrabbits ahead. Back to serve it is going to be Madison Burr. Burr goes across into the back row for St. Cloud State. Heads to the left side of the net. Spike there. Dug up by Sylvie Scotts. And right over to the St. Cloud side, they go for a spike again. Hannah Klein in the back row digs it and goes back to Scotts on the far side. That one's going to be a kill for Sylvie Scotts. Jackrabbits leading St. Cloud State 6-2 in the first set. Madison Burr on that far side going to be serving it again. Goes Madison Burr across St. Cloud State, goes left side through the block and into the back row for the kill. Quite a few Huskies fans here in First Bank and Trust Arena as St. Cloud State sets up their service. The Jackrabbits went 23-5 overall this season and 16-0 in the conference as the Jacks get another kill there. Quickly back over Caitlin Van Kirk checks into the game for South Dakota State. And I believe that is Megan Roggenkamp going to be back to serve it. Excuse me, that's, I believe, Brooke Larson back serving it for the Jackrabbits as that one goes to the Huskies. It's 7-4, Huskies service. Quickly returned by the Jackrabbits. They go across. Huskies send it out of bounds. Untouched by the Jackrabbits. Attacking error there by St. Cloud. It'll be 8-4. The Jackrabbits up by 4 here in set number 1. Service from the back line coming from Sylvie Scots. Scots sends a laser into the back row, and that's going to be a service ace for Sylvie Scots. This season, service ace leader was Jocelyn Richardson for the Jackrabbits. She had 41 service aces this season. This one heads into the net. Scots going to be having a service error there, and it'll be 9-5. Jackrabbits still up by 4 here in set number 1. St. Cloud State going to go behind the line. Sylvie Scots led the team in kills this season with 451 kills. Led the team. The next closest was Madison Burr with 259. St. Cloud State sets it too close to the net, and points going to be awarded to St. Cloud State as a net violation there on the Jackrabbits up close to the net. It'll be 9-6. The Jackrabbits up by 3. Set number 1. St. Cloud State on the service from the far side corner into the net, and that one is going to be a service error for St. Cloud. 10-6. The Jackrabbits are up by 4. It's set number 1. Jocelyn Richardson going to be back to serve it now for South Dakota State. Richardson sent it to the back row of St. Cloud. They go left corner through the block. Gets into Brooke Larson. Backwards bump by Scots and over the net. Block on that near side by Caitlin Van Kirk stops the advance of the Huskies. It'll be a point for the Jackrabbits off the Van Kirk block. Caitlin Van Kirk, originally from Bozeman, Montana, transferred in from Boise State to start off last season and had a good start for the Jackrabbits. St. Cloud attacking on that right side of the net. Point awarded to St. Cloud. That one was close to that out-of-bounds line. Of course, we don't have any flaggers here. Just one official. And they ruled that one a Husky point, pretty close to that right sideline. Van Kirk over to Hannah Klein. Klein in, and that one heads out of bounds on St. Cloud on their attack. So an attacking error there by St. Cloud State. The Jackrabbits going to be leading the Huskies 12-7. The Jacks up by 5 here in set number 1. Going to be having a timeout here taken by the coaches to talk things over. It is a spring exhibition game after all. We'll step aside, be back after this.
There are many things in life that can get in the way of a great night's sleep. Your bed doesn't have to be one of them. You can find many options for your nest bed at the locally owned and operated Mattress by Appointment, located both in Brookings and Watertown. Mattress by Appointment has a wide selection of mattresses at prices below traditional retail stores. To make an appointment, you can text or call them at 605-695-8223. Mattress by Appointment is a proud sponsor of KSDJ 90.7.
Riley Martin to start us off after the timeout. Martin sends over a service. St. Cloud's return heads out of bounds. Jackrabbits with the point. Excuse me, they overturn that one and give the point to St. Cloud. They'll say it was touched at the net. And St. Cloud picks up that one. It's 12-8 now. The Jackrabbits leading by 4. St. Cloud tries for the attack on the right side. Hannah Klein in the way. Another one sent over, blocked by Madison Burr, and point awarded to the Jackrabbits off the Burr block up front. Jackrabbits lost a key piece to their game, losing senior Sydney Shetnin. Shetnin had 144 blocks last season, but Madison Burr looking to fill that gap. Burr just behind Shetnin last season with 139 blocks. So another point, it's 13-10. Jackrabbits Jackrabbits up by 3 now, set number 1. This one off the fingertips of Jocelyn Richardson. Scrambling was Klein. Richardson sends it over, a free ball here for St. Cloud. Back set into a spike, blocked up front by, I think that was Madison Burr and Sylvie Skunts on that right side. But that one, I think, heads out of bounds after that touch. I wasn't quite watching, but St. Cloud awarded the point. It's 13-11. The Jackrabbits up by 2. Jacks get a point here on an attacking error by St. Cloud. It'll be 14-11. The Jacks up by 3. Madison Burr back to serve it for the Jacks. And Burr gets into the back row. Quick spike back across from St. Cloud, stopped by Klein. And another spike. Burr pops it up. There is Skunts and Klein for the spike over. St. Cloud goes to the left side for the attack. Jackrabbits all over it. Tipped over by Labuka. And another spike on that right side by St. Cloud, dug up in the back row for South Dakota State. Another attack down the middle, and Burr cannot stop this one, and St. Cloud going to pick up another point. It's 14-12 now. The Jackrabbits up by a narrow 2 here in set number 1 to the Huskies. Huskies serve goes across to Sconce, and a spike blocked up front by Taylor Bile and Labuka. This one goes to Klein, blocked up front by St. Cloud. Another block as Sconce was attacking, and St. Cloud picks up another point as the Jackrabbits get stopped at the net there. It's 14-13. The Jackrabbits up by a narrow 1 here in set number 1. 46 minutes left to play. Service by the Huskies goes to Sconce. Sconce gets set up by her teammate for the spike. Dug up in the back row, gets too close to the net on the dig, and Scott's able to set it down for the kill. It's 15-13. Jackrabbits up by 2, set number 1. Service here by Larson. Dug up in the back row for St. Cloud. Tipped across through the block. Sconce is there. Larson with the setup. Spike by Van Kirk. Back set for St. Cloud to the right side. Gets through the block of Sylvie Sconce. And a point for the Huskies. 15-14. Jackrabbits up by 1. Service from St. Cloud goes to Richardson. Here's Larson setting up Bile, and Bile with the kill from middle net with a spike. 16-14. Jackrabbits up by 2. Scounts with the serve. Back row, St. Cloud goes left through the block, and Richardson could not get there in time. Point for St. Cloud. It'll be 16 to 15. The Jackrabbits up by 1, set number 1. St. Cloud on the service. This one, a quick one over the top of the net, goes to Sconce. Quick over from the Jackrabbits, gets right back. Blocked up front, Van Kirk, and Van Kirk stops at the net for the point. 17 to 15. The Jackrabbits up by 2. Again, with Sydney Shetland leaving, graduating this year, Van Kirk and Madison Burr having to pick up a lot of the slack at the net for the Jacks. This one gets through the block, sent by St. Cloud, and into the back row for the kill. The Huskies make it a 1-point set once again. 17 to 16, the Jackrabbits ahead. Service by St. Cloud goes to the right. That's Klein. Tipped up by Larson. Free ball here for the Huskies. They go to the left side of the net. Through the block of Burr. Hit Burr and then heads out of bounds. We're tied up at 17. And the Jackrabbits going to use a timeout here. 43 minutes left to play here in this first scrimmage match. We're tied at 17, and head coach Dan Georgalis is going to talk things over. We'll take a break. Be back after this.
This portion of KSTJ 90.7's broadcast is brought to you by Kraft. Great food, fresh flavors, and a local touch. That's Kraft. From mouth-watering sandwiches and crisp salads to juicy burgers, steak, and pasta, there's something for everyone. Experience their famous cheesecake. Handcrafted and family-owned, you can find Kraft on the corner of 6th Street and Maderi. Reservations are appreciated.
Welcome back in to First Bank and Trust Arena. I'm Ben Anderson with Collegiate Sports. It's the Jackrabbit Invitational Spring Matches here for volleyball. The Jackrabbits tied up right now against St. Cloud State, 17 to 17 in set number 1. Service by St. Cloud goes to Madison Burr. Over to Hannah Klein. Klein's blocked. Caitlin Van Kirk recovers. Tipped over by Burr. St. Cloud State all over it. Going to the right of the net. They get blocked up front. It's Burr and Hannah Klein. They stop the Husky advance. And the Jackrabbits will lead by 1 once again. It's 18 to 17. Back to serve it for SDSU is Riley Martin. That one heads close to the back line, and they'll say it's out of bounds. Service error there by Martin. It's 18-18. Tied up here. St. Cloud State with a service. Goes back to Hannah Klein. Spike up front. Madison Burr. And Burr with the kill. Center net. It's 19 to 18. The Jackrabbits up by 1. Hannah Klein. Back to serve it. Goes to the back row of the Huskies. They go middle net. Blocked by Madison Burr. A solo block at center net for Madison Burr. 20 to 18. Jacks up by 2. Set number 1. 40 minutes to play here in this spring match. Back set from St. Cloud. Tip over. Goes to Jocelyn Richardson. Set up by Martin. Goes to Sconce. Sconce with a spike into the back row. And miscommunication there by St. Cloud. Gives the Jacks the point. It's 21 to 18. Jackrabbits lead it by 3. 40 minutes left to go in set number 1. Back to serve for the Jacks. It's Hannah Klein. And that's going to be a service ace for Klein. Dug up in the back row, but heads out of bounds on the dig. Klein on the service once again. It's 22-18. Jacks by 4. The back row of St. Cloud. They go left side of the net through the block, and it'll be a kill for St. Cloud. 22-19. Jacks up by 3 here in the first set. Service by St. Cloud goes back to Jocelyn Richardson. Martin with the setup. Here's Burr. Burr across. Set up at the net for St. Cloud. It's going to be a kill as the Jackrabbits can't dig it. The block sends it out of bounds on the Jackrabbits. It's 22-20. Jacks by 2. Set number 1. St. Cloud service again. Jocelyn Richardson there. Martin with the setup for Burr, and Burr with the kill. 23-20. Jacks by 3. Set number 1. Back to serve it right now is, I believe, Anna Johansson, one of the new transfer students for the Jackrabbits this year. Johansson with the service goes right back to Johansson. She's able to dig it up in the back row. Spike, Hannah Klein, too much on it. Send it out of bounds. Point for the Huskies. Anna Johansson previously played for New Mexico, but a Minneapolis, Minnesota native, here now playing for the Jackrabbits. Service by St. Cloud heads out of bounds. Service error. It's 24-21. Set point in set number 1 for the Jackrabbits. Back to serve it is Brooke Larson. Larson in the back row. It'll be an ace for Larson to close out the first set. 25-21. The Jackrabbits take the first over the Huskies. And we will wind back the score to 0 and start off set number 2 here with 37 minutes left to go in the spring matches here. We've got 2 more Jackrabbit spring matches here today. At 2 o'clock, the Jacks going to play the Concordia St. Paul Golden Bears. And at 3 p.m., the Jackrabbits take on Minnesota State University Mankato, the Mavericks, both of those in 1-hour matches. So we'll have both of those for you here on Collegiate Sports at 2 and 3. Right now, we are in a break waiting for set number 2. We'll step aside and be back after this.
This portion of KSDJ 90.7's broadcast is brought to you by locally owned Brookings PowerQuest. Located in the University Mall at 820 22nd Avenue South, you can find everything your ride needs. From essential auto parts to top-notch accessories and customer service, PowerQuest is a one-stop shop for Brookings. Their phone number is 692-6298. PowerQuest is a proud sponsor of SDSU Student Radio, KSDJ 90.7.
Welcome back in to First Bank in Trust Arena. Ben Anderson with Collegiate Sports. Taking a look at what the Jackrabbits were able to do this past season. Jacks went 23-5 overall and 16-0 in the conference. Didn't drop a game in the Summit League until the postseason. The Jackrabbits made it to the Summit League Volleyball Championship and faced off against number 3 seeded St. Thomas. The Jackrabbits lost the championship game in 4 sets. Very similar to 2024, where the Jackrabbits made it all the way to the championship and only had dropped 1 game that season, but lost to USD in 5 sets. So the Jackrabbits, even though being the regular season champions the last 2 years, Summit League Volleyball, not able to get a Summit League title for the past 2 years, even though they were the #1 seed. Jackrabbits do get at-large bids in both NCAA tournaments. In 2024, faced off against University of Miami, and this last year faced off against Arizona and dropped that game in 4 sets in Sanford, California. Starting off set number 2, we got 35 minutes left to play here. Service by St. Cloud, picked up by Klein. Klein tips it over, and the Jackrabbits going to be on the board first. It'll be 1-0 with the Jacks out ahead here in set number 2. Service by Anna Johansson. Block up front by Sconce, keeps it on the St. Cloud side. And Johansson can't dig it up in the back row. Kill for the Huskies. It'll be 1-1 here in set number 2. St. Cloud service into the net. Service error for St. Cloud. It's 2-1. Jackrabbits up by 1. 33 minutes left to go in this first spring match. Madison Burr behind the line to serve it for SDSU. Into the back row middle for St. Cloud. Spike across on that right side. Johansson there sets up Labuka for the tip across. Spike for the back row. That was Riley Martin. Back over. Free ball here for St. Cloud. Martin on the dig. Up to Taylor Bile. Labuka spike into the back row for St. Cloud. Spiked across through the block of SDSU, and a point for the Huskies as that one heads out of bounds on the last touch of South Dakota State. Excuse me. It's 2-2 in set number 2. Service from the near side corner, and that one tips the top of the tape and falls down on the Jackrabbit side. It'll be a service ace for St. Cloud. Huskies service once again. They lead the Jackrabbits by 1. This one heads low into the net, and a service error there by St. Cloud. 3-3 in the second. Brooke Larson back to serve it. This one gets across. Spike up front. Diving was Richardson, but she could not dig it up. The Huskies take the lead 4-3 against the Jackrabbits here in set number 2. Huskies going to serve it from the far side. Popped up by Larson. Johansson running after it, and Richardson couldn't get the final hit across as that one started on the right side of the net, then headed all the way back towards the student section stands, and was popped over to the left where Richardson had to run after it. Couldn't get there. 5-3. Jackrabbits down by 2 now. Back set. Sconce unloads on it, and a kill for Sylvie Sconce. Sconce going to serve it for the Jackrabbits. Jacks down by 1 against St. Cloud here in set number 2. It's 5-4. Sconce service into the back row. St. Cloud blocked up front. Taylor Bile keeps it on the St. Cloud side, and a point for the Jackrabbits as St. Cloud not ready for that one. Sylvie Sconce going to be serving it again. Sconce back row. She unloaded on that serve and tipped back across. Larson couldn't get ahead of it, and St. Cloud going to maintain the lead. It's 6-5. The Jackrabbits down by 1. Set number 2. Service from the near side from the Huskies goes to Hannah Klein. Larson sets up Klein, spiking from the far side, dug up in the back row of the Huskies. Here is Sconce with the dig. Larson bumps it to Klein. Klein with the tip across. St. Cloud sends over the free ball. Richardson with the bump. Larson backs at Van Kirk spikes. And a kill for Caitlin Van Kirk on that near side. 6-all in set number 2. Jocelyn Richardson back to serve it for SDSU. St. Cloud goes to the right side with a spike across into the block of SDSU, then out of bounds. Huskies pick up the point. It's 7-6. And the Jackrabbits down by 1, set number 2. St. Cloud with a service error out of the back line there. Ties us up at 7. Under 30 minutes left to go here in the first spring match of the day. Riley Martin with the service. Gets it in the middle of St. Cloud. Scott's caught a quick one. Popped it up, but no other Jackrabbits in the area to scoop that up. The Huskies get the kill. It's 8-7. The Jackrabbits down by 1. Set number 2. St. Cloud service goes to Scott's far side. Set up by Martin is Burr. Burr with a kill right down the middle. Ties us up at 8. Anna Johansson back to serve it for South Dakota State. Out of bounds on the back line. Service error there. Huskies pick up the point. It's 9-8. The Jackrabbits down by 1. Set number 2. Service by St. Cloud goes to Scott's. Back set Martin. Spike is Burr. Dug up by St. Cloud. They go left side. Runs into the block of Burr. Kept alive by St. Cloud. Free ball here. Here's a dump by Martin, and that'll be a kill for Riley Martin on the dump. It's 9-all in set number 2. Madison Burr, the service for the Jacks. St. Cloud all over it. They go to the right side. That one heads out of bounds. Point for the Jackrabbits on the attacking error there by the Huskies. Madison Burr back to serve it for the Jacks. Tips the top of the tape, but over into Husky territory. Tip across by the Huskies. Diving was Burr, but couldn't get ahead of it. We're tied at 10 now here in set number 2. Getting a look here at some of the new personnel for the Jackrabbits coming in this next season. Here's one of them, Ann Johansson on the dig. Richardson goes over to Scott's. Scott's on a spike. Huskies all over it. They send it through the block of Bile and Scott's, and the Huskies get the kill. It's 11-10. The Jackrabbits down by 1. Set number 2. 26 minutes left to play in match number 1 of the Jackrabbit Invitational. Huskies get a block on that right side. Keep it on the Jackrabbits half of the court. And the Huskies with the point there. It's 12-10. Jacks down by 2. Set number 2. Service from the near side. St. Cloud gets to Johansson. Here's Bile on a spike. Huskies go left side. Martin with the dig. Richardson and Scott's with a spike. Tip across by St. Cloud. Martin runs in. Here's Richardson and Labuka. Block up front by Bile. St. Cloud trying to get it across. They get blocked by Bile again, and SDSU with the point. Bile able to get it on the far side and on the near side, blocking there for the Jackrabbits. 12-11. Jacks down by 1, set number 2. Brooke Larson on the service for South Dakota State. This one heads out of bounds and cannot be returned by St. Cloud off the Larson service. It's 12 all now. Set number 2. Larson to try again here behind the line. In the back row of St. Cloud, setting up the tip over and a whistle. I think we got a net violation there. The Huskies called with that one. Jackrabbits with the point, 13-12. The Jacks take the lead of 1. Larson to serve it again. This one knuckles off of the bump, brought back into play by St. Cloud and over. Free ball for Richardson. Here's a spike, and Sconce unloads on that one, and a kill for Sylvie Sconce. Larson serving still, 14-12. Jackrabbits leading by 2 now. Larson service into the back row. St. Cloud goes right side. Larson able to dig it up. Sconce keeps it alive, and Van Kirk with the over. Here is St. Cloud's return, left side, into the block, and heads out of bounds on the Jackrabbits' touch. Jackrabbits leading 14-13 over St. Cloud. Back to Sylvie Sconce off the service. Sconce tips across. Free ball here for Johansson. And Taylor Bile unloads on it. Center net for the kill. Taylor Bile is one of those players for the Jackrabbits that's seen a lot of improvement over the years. Now a redshirt sophomore for the Jackrabbits, Sioux Falls native. Seen a lot more playing time last season, and I'm sure she'll see a lot more this season with the exodus of Sydney Shetnan. She graduated. St. Cloud with a spike over into Richardson, and the Huskies going to pick up the point. It's 15-14. The Jackrabbits leading by 1 in set number 2. St. Cloud State with the service. They're going to come from the near side, and that one heads out of bounds. Service error. For the Huskies, it's 16-14. The Jackrabbits up by 2 now, set number 2. Richardson. Service cross. Picked up by St. Cloud. They go right side. End of the net. I think Hannah. Huskies with the service in the back row. Unloading on it, Sylvie Sconce with a cannon. Able to kid it down on the Huskies side there. Riley Martin back behind the line to serve it. 17-16. And that one's going to be a service ace for Riley Martin. 18-16. Jackrabbits up by 2. Set number 2. After the Martin ace, timeout going to be called. There's 20 minutes left to play here. We'll take a break. Be back after this.
There are many things in life that can get in the way of a great night's sleep. Your bed doesn't have to be one of them. You can find many options for your nest bed at the locally owned and operated Mattress by Appointment, located both in Brookings and Watertown. Mattress by Appointment has a wide selection of mattresses at prices below traditional retail stores. To make an appointment, you can text or call them at 605-695-8223. Mattress by Appointment is a proud sponsor of KSDJ 90.7.
Welcome back in to First Bank in Trust Arena. Riley Martin with the serve after her ace. Tipped over by St. Cloud, back over by Burr quickly. St. Cloud goes left side, finds open space as Burr got tripped up. And quick into the back row, Huskies going to pick up the kill there. 18-17, the Jackrabbits lead the Huskies by 1, set number 2. Burr lost her footing on that last point. St. Cloud going to go with the service here is Scots. Martin and LaBuca able to get it across, but the Huskies with a quick block there, and Huskies pick up the point. It's 18 all, set number 2. Martin goes to Klein. Klein gets blocked. St. Cloud with the point. 19-18. Jacks down by 1. And head coach Dan Georgialis for South Dakota State going to talk things over once again. We'll step aside.
This portion of KSDJ 90.7's broadcast is brought to you by locally owned Brookings PowerQuest. Located in the University Mall at 820 22nd Avenue South, you can find everything your ride needs. From essential auto parts to top-notch accessories and customer service, PowerQuest is a one-stop shop for Brookings. Their phone number is 692-6298. PowerQuest is a proud sponsor of SDSU Student Radio, KSDJ 90.7.
Support comes from the South Dakota Agricultural Heritage Museum in Brookings, inspiring a passion for the diverse history, culture, and science of agriculture in South Dakota. To learn more about exhibits and events, you can visit agmuseum.com.
Welcome back in after that quick timeout. Jackrabbits down by 1 in set number 2. It's 19-18 against St. Cloud. St. Cloud going to be on the service here. Across the net goes to Klein, and Klein sends it across the net and out of bounds. And the Huskies get that point. It's 20-18. Jackrabbits down by 2. Huskies making a late run here. They send the service. Klein going to send back a kill for the Jackrabbits on the near side. 20-19. Jackrabbits down by 1 now. Anna Johansson serving for the Jacks. That in the back row. Setting up the left side. St. Cloud gets it past Riley Martin for the kill. 21-19. Jacks down by 2. It's set number 2. Service by St. Cloud goes right side. And a double touch there by the Jackrabbits. And Huskies pick up the point, 22-19. Jacks down by 3. Scots, Martin, back to Scots. Scots tipping across, finds the net. And stopped the Huskies with the point after the attacking error. It's 23-19 now. The Jackrabbits down by 4 against St. Cloud in the second set. Scots in the back row. Here's Burr. Burr meets the net. And a point for the Huskies. This is Jackrabbits kind of falling apart here at the end of this second set against St. Cloud. 24-19, Jacks down by 5. Richardson, Scots, and Labuca spiking across. Middle net, and the Huskies put it away. 25-19, and St. Cloud takes the second set. 15 minutes left of this game, and they're going to call it there. St. Cloud and the Jackrabbits split 1 set apiece, and that scrimmage match gave you a little bit of a look at some of the new formatting of what the Jackrabbits will have coming in the future. Next spring game here is, for the Jackrabbits at least, is at 2 p.m. That one will be against the Concordia St. Paul Golden Bears from St. Paul, Minnesota. Then at 3 p.m., the Jackrabbits going to face off against Minnesota State University Mankato. That game taking place at 3 p.m. right after the Concordia St. Paul match. So the Jackrabbits and the Huskies talking things over how that went. The Jackrabbits kind of just gave up there in those last 5 points. At least that's what it felt like here. But we will see at 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. what they can do. But the Jackrabbits split this match against the Huskies. Jacks took the first one 25-21. Huskies take the second set 25-19, and 1 set apiece. Plenty more spring volleyball here to come from First Bank and Trust Arena. Be sure to tune in at 2 p.m. for the next Jackrabbit spring game against Concordia St. Paul, and tune in at 3 p.m. for the match against Minnesota State Mankato, the Mavericks. We'll step aside, and we'll be back at 2 p.m., and we'll see you then.